So Google's Pixel 10 series was, shall we say, a mite disappointing. On launch day I felt just like a kid, albeit a saggy-faced kid with a drinking problem, eagerly ripping into a big heavy present, expecting an Xbox, and finding myself clutching the complete works of Dostoevsky. Like, f***s this, mum. As well as next to no tangible hardware improvements and mostly seemingly pointless AI shindiggery, the Pixel 10s were, and still are, a buggy mess. So can Google make amends with its latest addition to the family, the Pixel 10a, a more budget-friendly alternative that'll hopefully save us lot a bit of cash and Google a bit of face? Let's have a wee chat about all that, and this week we'll also be shedding tears as yet another beloved manufacturer pulls out of the smartphone business, and shedding even more tears, no doubt, as we scour through last week's viewer comments. Jingle me. Techspert Weekly. Now, when it comes to the Pixel 10a, I gotta say, those early web whisperings aren't too encouraging. Most of the leaks we've seen so far reveal that the Pixel 10a won't boast many upgrades at all versus the old Pixel 9a. And for one, it looks almost identical to last year's model from the renders we've seen, sporting that same completely flat arse and an identical compact 6.3-inch finish. If I was being generous, I'd say that maybe the bezels surrounding that screen are a wee bit slimmer on the Pixel 10a, although that might just be the big goggles talking. And while the Pixel 10a will at least get a fresh lick of paint, those leaked colours, obsidian, fog, lavender and berry, sound pretty bloody similar to the current black, white, purple and pink efforts. Now, as for the Pixel 10a's screen, well, apparently this isn't just the same size, it's also the same resolution, with that same 120Hz refresh. It might be a smidge brighter, perhaps, which, to be fair, even the horniest of fanboy would struggle to get perky over. If you're starting to feel just a smidge of deja vu creeping down your spine, well, brace yourself, because the Pixel 10a will also apparently sport the same 5100 mAh battery capacity with the same slow as balls charging speeds. And there's even online chat suggesting that Google will slap the exact same Tensor G4 chipset inside the Pixel 10a, rather than that new Tensor G5 that it used for the Pixel 10 flagships, complete with the very same old 8 gigs of RAM. Although hey, considering those Pixel 10 phones are a soggy pile of pants in the gaming department, I won't exactly be super depressed if Google doesn't go Tensor G5 for this new affordable alternative. Now, when it comes to the Pixel 10a's camera tech, what do you reckon the word on the web might be? Do you think they've A, massively upgraded that hardware, or B, said f*** it, bunged in the old Pixel 9a optics and buggered off right down the pub? Well, if you said A, you're either hopelessly optimistic or you've been paying bugger all attention to the words coming out of my mouth. That's right, the Pixel 10a is rumoured to recycle the 48MP camera sensor from the Pixel 9a, as well as that 13MP ultra-wide shooter and the 13MP selfie cam. And rounding off those specs is the same 128 or 256 gigs of storage that you had crammed in the old 9a. So basically, according to all of these web rumours so far, the Pixel 10a appears to be the smartphone equivalent of that Gus Van Sant remake of Psycho. Inexplicably almost identical to the original in pretty much every single way. Although hey, even Gus gave us a bit of Vince Vaughn in a dress as some form of compensation. So at this moment in time, you might be wondering, what in the name of Benjamin Franklin's butt plug is the actual point of getting a Pixel 10a? Especially if it's using the exact same Tensor chipset as the old 9a, which surely means that the Pixel 10a won't boast any spangly AI features that you won't get on the old blower. Well, if all of these rumours are actually true, then the only real advantage of getting the Pixel 10a that I can think of is that extra year of software support. But even so, the old 9a is guaranteed updates until 2032, by which point it won't even matter because the apocalypse should be well underway. Let's face it, you won't need a mobile phone when you're stuck in a concrete bunker 10 foot underground forever. What should we do this evening, darling? We could have another crack at that Dostoevsky book, or maybe play another round of how many times can we headbutt the wall before we finally pass out. Wall it is then. In fact, the only good news that I've read about the Pixel 10a online is the fact that Google might well be slashing the price slightly compared with the old 9a, so it should be starting at €500 rather than $550. But then of course you'd also expect the Pixel 9a to now drop in price, so bah. And of course those Pixel A series smartphones typically launch closer to summer, around sort of April to May time. But web rumours reckon that Google is hot stepping the Pixel 10a to a February launch instead, with Evan Blass claiming they'll be on shelves for the first week of March. And after this wee segment, I bet you're absolutely frothing from every orifice at the thought of getting one in your hands. But hey, why not let us know down below, froth or no froth? And if yes froth, are we talking like a small cappuccino's worth of froth, or are we talking a full-on Niagara Falls froth? Please do the tappity down below. And now it's time for this. Uncle Spurt reacts to stuff and some of it makes him glum. Some makes him happy, some makes him mad, and some of it is your mum. So mixed emotions this week as ASUS chairman Johnny Shi announced that they would be pulling out of the smartphone market. His exact words were, ASUS will no longer add new mobile phone models in the future. So it seems pretty cut and dry that no fannying about, ASUS is 100% done, son. If this announcement had come around 3 years earlier, then I would have been genuinely gutted, as ASUS's Zenphones were some of my absolute favourite blowers. This year's Zenfone 9 was my personal pick for the best phone of 2022. Because despite being delightfully compact, you still enjoyed some cracking battery life, excellent performance, some pretty bloody good camera tech too, along with a lovely stock Android vibe and that strokeably soft arse. And let's not forget some of those more innovative efforts too, like the Zenfone 6 with its clever wee flip-out camera tech. I reviewed that one way back in 2019, just after I started the TechSpert channel, and my liver was only semi-dissolved. And sadly, ASUS's more recent Zenphones weren't quite as stiffy-inducing as they bloated in size and were admittedly rather bland compared with a lot of rivals. In fact, ASUS had got a bit lazy on this front. These things were basically just rebranded ROG phones with all of the fun bits stripped out. And speaking of which, Johnny's announcement does of course explain why there's been bugger all sight of a fresh new ROG phone recently. Those ROGs were the most premium gaming smartphones around, boasting an impressive array of features and some often bonkers accessories. And their demise means you're left with very few options if you do actually want a dedicated gaming handset. I mean, you're effectively left with Red Magic if you want some top-end tech, complete with a similar fantastic array of features, obligatory RGB shenanigans, and of course the hilariously slutty Mora assistant. So it could well be that gaming smartphones now have both feet and at least one buttock in the grave now that the axe has fallen on not just ROG phones but also those Black Shark blowers. But hey, will you be mourning the passing of ASUS smartphones and the possibly imminent demise of gaming mobiles? Definitely let us know down in the comments below. And now it's time for the part of the show that would even make the Marquis de Sade cringe and say, oh, I don't know, it's a bit much. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments.
What are you, drunk?
Now apologies again for my less than animated hosting of last week's episode, thanks to me generally being old and broken. Hello, Shrunkle Spurt here. Ow. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, f***ing ow. I had quite a few comments about that side of things, unsurprisingly. Jared Gunston says, hope you recover soon, man. Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, my spine is feeling a lot better now, Tar. Look, I can even lift my arms and slightly turn my head and not feel like I'm being absolutely ravaged by Satan's own fiery cock. Jed Bullet says, reaching for that last tin or jug of beer. Back goes out, really sucks getting old. From one veteran to another, get well soon, Uncle Spurt. Cheers, Jed. Here's to being an owl knacker. And Smitchy says, ice packs, man, helps a lot. And a burning cream. Burning cream, as in a cream for burns? Or a cream that burns? Yeah, cheers, man. I'll probably stick with the ice pack idea in future. Annoyingly, I didn't have any ice last week, but I did manage to find a bag of frozen battered prawn dippers lurking at the very back of the freezer. So I just chucked that on the ground and then kind of laid on top of it. And that seemed to help a bit at least, until the prawns thawed out and then the entire room just stank of rancid seafood. Mini Club Moose says, I mean, I've seen stranger ASMRs. Yeah, I've never really seen the point of these ASMR unboxing videos, I've got to admit. It just seems to be an excuse to do a whole video without actually bothering to speak. Which, to be fair, cracking idea if you've got a hangover or something. And Rapricio says, I regularly fear death by fart explosion. I mean, that's what some experts reckon that spontaneous combustion is, right? A critical convocation of gut gas that's then somehow ignited, leaving behind naught but a small pile of ash and a vague smell of rotten cabbage. I say experts, I don't think there's actually a career to be had in the study of spontaneous combustion or arse gas in general. Or if there is, it's certainly not the kind of thing you would bung on LinkedIn. Now, last week's hot tech chat focused, of course, on Honor's fresh new Magic 8 Pro Air. It's finally launched this Monday. It's basically a skinified version of the Honor Magic 8 Pro flagship. Reaction seems to be mostly positive. Not everyone was convinced though. Blue American 26 says, staying far away from this thin phone fetish. Going off the YouTube comments, I think most people are happy enough to have a slimmer phone as long as there's bugger all compromise. You've still got a decent sized battery, respectable cameras and everything. Basically everything that the likes of the iPhone Air doesn't do. CCB 3681 says, will it bend like Uncle Spurt? Well, this is the problem, buddy. I do not bend at all. If I tried to touch my toes these days, I'd probably end up in traction. I mean, Christ, I couldn't even touch my toes when I was like bloody 17 years old and in my prime. Although, come to think of it, when I was 17, I was pounding back the Mars bars and Bacardi breezers, so not exactly the pinnacle of fitness. In fact, I used to think that if I mixed it up and had a few different flavours of Bacardi Breezer, a bit of watermelon, the orange, the grape, that would cover me for my 5 daily portions of fruit and veg. So it's probably not a massive surprise that all my life I've been about as flexible as a steel girder. Zero says, let this sink in. This slim phone here has a bigger battery than the Galaxy S25 Ultra. Absolutely pathetic. Samsung, Google and Apple could all really do with changing things up, upgrading to silicon carbon battery tech, especially as Samsung and Apple, who seem to be hell-bent on buggering about these skinny phone designs. Cypher Ajibola says, speaking of football matches, we lost against Morocco at penalties on Wednesday. Mate, do not go mentioning Morocco and penalties in the same sentence after that final at the weekend. Absolutely cracking bit of entertainment that was, just for the neutral, obviously. I've never in my life, I don't think, seen an entire football team say bollocks to this and bugger off back to the dressing room after a dodgy refereeing decision. XX Bozox says, hi Uncle Spurt, can you tell me where you get your wallpapers from? Not only can I tell you, I can do it in sweet jingle form. Wall.alphacoders.com, wall.alphacoders.com, that's where my wallpapers come from, wall.alphacoders.com. And Tech with Aiden says, when is the Redmi Note 15 series review? Very soon, my friends. Stay tuned for those bad boys. And Tom Milliken says, just out of curiosity, has everyone forgotten just how slim the LG V20 was? It's slimmer than the newer ones being released now. It was so slim that the top of the headphone jack bevels to fit the frame. I never reviewed the LG V20 at Recombu, sadly. It was definitely Recombu days when that one came out. Unfortunately, LG had just stopped sending us smartphones to review by that point. I can't remember why. I don't think I was particularly mean about any of their stuff. In fact, I loved LG smartphones because they were batshit mental. Tell you what, if LG was still spaffing out the odd blower every now and then tech wouldn't be quite as boring as it is. I've just done a quick Google on the thinnest smartphones of all time. The V20 isn't in there, but the thinnest phone ever is still the Vivo X5 Max from 2014, which was just 4.75 mils thick. And despite this, you still got an enormous 5.5-inch AMOLED display, Snapdragon 615, a mighty 2 gigabytes of RAM, as well as 16 gigs of storage and a 2,300 mAh battery. Still had a bloody headphone jack and a microSD memory card slot though, of course. Back in the day, eh? Running out of time spare, mate. This is the last comment for the week. Chris VideoNet says, Uncle Spurt needs, in fact deserves, a more impressive beer glass. Oh, I really like that beer glass. It's one of my favourites. I don't have it down right now. I'm not drinking beer during this shooting because it is literally 8 o'clock in the morning. Not that that necessarily always stops me. Hang on, I'll just go grab it. Here we go. So in terms of the general shape and everything, obviously not particularly impressive, but I do love Lervig, mostly because of the very colourful artwork that you get slathered all over the cans and the bottles and everything. If you haven't heard of Lervig before, they're a Norwegian brewery. Highly recommend them, especially if you're into your wanky craft ales and you want to try some ridiculously experimental stuff. The most bonkers beer they ever did was a collaboration with Evil Twin Brewing, which was called Big Ass Money Stout. That was a stout beer which actually included frozen pizza and genuine Norwegian currency. That's right, they put actual money into the Big Ass Money Stout. I should just be thankful they didn't put actual ass in there as well. And as if that wasn't all fucking horrific enough, it was also an absolutely batshit mental 16%. And I was desperate to try a sample of this, but unfortunately it was a limited run and I just couldn't get my hands on one. But anyway, what's your pick of the most ridiculous beer you've ever seen or tried? It'd be great to hear that down in the comments below. Massive thanks to everyone who commented last week. Apologies if we didn't quite get to yours. Please do comments down below on anything you like. We'll get through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week, what the f is next week? Well, in a case of somewhat ironic timing after banging on for a chunk of this show about the impending doom of gaming smartphones, next Thursday's big launch is of course a Red Magic event. Huzzah! And yes, that does mean that your Uncle Spurt has to play yet more online games against scrawty school children who think that simply saying the numbers 6 and 7 is comedy gold. I mean, it's still funnier than Mrs. Brown's Boys, but yeah. A few more bits going on as well, so certainly do please poke subscribe and ding that notifications bell if you haven't done so already. A massive thanks again for watching this shower of shit through to the bitter end. Make sure you have yourselves a bloody wonderful weekend. Cheers everybody, love you!